I would like to now move on to our next agenda, for which I would like to call on a panel which would be speaking on the topic of crafting your customer data for effective marketing outcomes. For this panel discussion, I would like to invite Vivek Gupta, Senior Executive Vice President from Bajaj Allianz Life, and Sandeep Gambhir, Head of Marketing and Digital from ICICI Home Finance. Is also a certified project management expert and design thinking practitioner with expertise in taxation law. A little about Sandeep. Sandeep has spent most of his career at ICICI Group companies across marketing and digital. He has helped set up, grow, and transform marketing and digital capabilities to deliver business value. In his current role, Sandeep is the head of marketing and digital at ICICI Home Finance. He helps structure the marketing, PR, and digital functions from scratch. He has been a pivotal in building the company's digital platform in 6 languages that gave people in 2-tier and 3-tier cities greater access to home loans, gold loans, and fixed deposits. As a moderator of this panel, I would like to welcome Ashirvad Patnaik, BFSI Solutions Lead of Data and Analytics from Tech Mahindra. Welcome, Ashirvad. Ashirvad is the BFSI lead for data and analytics at Tech Mahindra. He has more than a decade of experience in the analytics industry with a specialization in risk analytics and management. He has worked on strategic initiatives of BASEL, CCAR, fraud risk management, and RWA optimization. Looking forward for this great discussion. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure as seasoned professionals in the industry, all of us are familiar with terms like digital management platforms, customer relationship management systems, customer data platforms, customer 360 hyper-personalization. Of late, these terms have become very important and have gained a lot of traction, whether the conversation is within one's own company or across multiple domains. One thing is for certain, these terms are all built or all revolve around how to effectively use your customer data in probably the optimal or most profitable manner. And that brings us to the topic of a panel discussion for today, crafting your customer data for effective marketing outcome. I'd like to welcome the panel, and without wasting any further time, let's get directly into it. And a very basic and quintessential question for both of our speakers: why so much of a focus on customer data? I think most of us in the room know the answer to this, but it'd be very wise to seek an opinion from the industry leaders.
Thank you for the mic. And before I start, Subhashish, I don't see Subhashish here, but I am having both the Android and Apple phones with me. So from that angle. But very interesting question, actually. It's very basic, but very interesting. Why customer data? We just heard Subhashish talk about, he's paranoid about his footprints being used at multiple places for giving a very different connotation of misusing it. But customer data can actually be used for helping the customer as well, along with the organization. How does that help is personalization, being contextual. Just go back few years back, we used to get similar communication from a company, digital communication, with just the difference being in the name, nothing much more than that. Today it's very, very contextual. Unfortunately and fortunately for the audience here, there are multiple life insurance players here. There was Subhashish, there is me, Gautam is a Sandeep is a life insurance veteran with ICICI as well. So multiple players about it, but everyone having the same.
When Subhashish is in the room, you cannot call us veterans. Okay?
Yeah, completely. 30 years of experience. And when Subhashish, you were outside the room, I just mentioned that we have both the phones here, Android and Apple. So that is that. So my point on data was it is extremely important, both for the organization as well as the consumer, because things have changed. And I think the earlier panel was talking about people don't look at life insurance as a separate category anymore. They compare it with uh, other products which they purchase. That we were discussing about Airtel in the first panel, and I could resonate so much with them, though the problems are very, very different. Airtel has an ARPU which was mentioned as around only 2,400 per year. We have an ARPU of around 1 lakh per year. The problems are very different, but the solution is the same, having the customer data. So that was the point.
So I'm going to start with, the philosophy that we follow, and then, go on to tell a story about how we collected data and how that data also was not good enough for us to lead to that experience. So we say, practically every organization, Subhashish talk about, customer centricity. We say that if you are not data centric, you cannot be customer centric. It's as simple as that. Because data is what is going to lead you to deliver customer centricity, customer experiences. So a quick, again, Subhashish mentioned about NPS. So I took out a story from NPS. So we had a customer who gave us very bad NPS, and I looked at the trail of that customer. The experience was fine, the TAT was good. Then we met that customer, and very interestingly, he said, I took an option to speak to your call center in Hindi. And because he took that option, we delivered all the other stuff to him in Hindi. Now, interestingly, he took that option to speak to our call center in Hindi because he felt that the call center was not up to the mark to respond to him in English. Whereas he cannot actually read much of Hindi. It takes him a lot of time to read Hindi. And I'm sure a lot of us in this room would belong to that kind of a segment. So he chose that option. And we carried forward that option across our customer experiences.
A very considerate customer, I'd say.
So now, the IVR will play out. So I'm in a home loan business. So we have a, big facility agreement spanning 30, 40 pages that got delivered to him in Hindi. And he obviously didn't understand a word of it. He said, I want that in English. Now, how do you account for, that's a bad experience, and that's where the NPS dropped. So how do you account for these kind of, data to be taken as input? That was a convenience factor, but not really a first choice that the customer would pick, and then relay it back across your touch points to the customer. So that's how important data is. That's how, we need to keep mining the data, keep collecting that data for us to be able to relevant to deliver the customer experiences.
I believe there's a bit of a evolutionary process, or you could say an evolutionary view that that's taking place across multiple domains right now. So very specific to your industry itself, how have you seen marketing strategies change over time in your experience, or what you've seen till now, and what do you think the way forward ideally would be?
If I let Vivek speak first, he'll speak everything. I won't have anything, so I'll take the chance this time.
Nice.
Essentially, when I was, back in life insurance and used to handle the online business, a lot of requests from the customers whenever they used to speak to us say, give it back to me on email. Send me that quote on email. Now, things are changing. As we move here, the customer is saying, now interact with me on WhatsApp. So this is the first move that the customer has made, that whatever interactions I'm having with you, summarize it for me on WhatsApp. Now, this is a big shift that the customer is making, and then the kind of, like we said, we are talking to the customer in various languages, etc. That becomes, again, very important to pick that up from a marketing delivery perspective. You have to be relevant in that particular language to the customer. So, this is how it is changing. The platforms are changing. Earlier, we used to have a lot of eligibility checks available on our website. We are moving that to WhatsApp. So today, if you are my customer, whether you are an FD customer, you can renew your FD without going to my website in 3 steps on WhatsApp. So your FD is up for renewal. You get a WhatsApp saying you want to renew. You say yes. You do OTP authentication and bang, your FD is renewed. So website is out of the picture here. And same thing is happening with eligibility check, or as we call it in industry, spot sanctions. People don't want to visit websites. They want to have experiences on the platforms they are comfortable with. They don't want to visit websites anymore. So a lot of this is moving to the platforms where customer feels that it is convenient for them. So that's how it is changing for us.
I think one important thread which Sandeep mentioned was about customer wanting to interact in the way the customer wants. If you go back few years, there was only one singular way the organization used to interact. In fact, I still remember in my earlier organization making a slide for some media conference stating traditional means of interaction, and this was not new, but new ways of interaction. And in new ways, what we had, social media, maybe a customer app, something. Things have changed. WhatsApp is one mode. Maybe someone would prefer still an app, though Subhashish mentioned they don't have, because they feel the customer may not be interacting regularly, but may want a customer app, maybe want a bot, maybe want a website. So having a presence at a multiple places, and how do you orchestrate that? Giving the same information in a way the customer wants, plus vernacular. I think India has changed over the last few years, and in fact, for just to throw a data point, more than 50% of our business for Bajaj Allianz Life comes from cities beyond top 100. Top 100 when I'm talking about. So that's the data point which is there. So people in locations are which are not big locations, which we call, are buying policies, are investing. And when they do that, they want to converse in a language which is comfortable for them. So digital, vernacular, voice, and one more factor which is changing is everyone is short of time. Everyone wants summarization. Previously, like we were discussing, life insurance is a very regulated entity. So you need to give something when you are buying a policy. You get something called as a benefit illustration. I don't know how many of the attendees here have read through a benefit illustration. It's very, very difficult. It's a 4-pager, 3-pager, some tables, majority disclaimers. It's difficult for me to also understand sometimes after having spent 19 years there. People can't read that. So you require summarization. Everyone is short of time. So all these things are leading to a lot of changes. And naturally, when, like I mentioned, there is a comparison with other sectors. You compare it with the retail, you compare it with the telecom, where expectation is that a policy may be bought in 3 clicks, which may not be possible in insurance. So all those things are leading to a lot of changes.
A very interesting point you pointed out here, Vivek, that the difference between traditional and modern methods of marketing and all that. Do you also perceive that there has also been a change in the costs associated with it, or like how exactly are companies assessing it within your specific industry right now? Because definitely there will be a cost paradigm shift, for lack of a better term, when you move from traditional to modern approaches.
Completely. There is a lot of change in cost, but we are in a sector where we are not bound by cost exactly so tightly, like maybe in Airtel we were discussing about 80 rupees per call, when your ARPU is 2,400 and 80 rupees, sorry, 200 was monthly, so I'm just making it a yearly. 2,400 is your ARPU, and per year, and 80 rupees is per call. Even you get one call, your pretty high number has gone. It's not so tightly bound for us. Life insurance, my average revenue, or you can say an average ticket size, that's what we call it in life insurance, is around 1 lakh rupees per user, per consumer. That's not exactly my revenue, because that goes into the investment for the consumer, but that's there. So I really don't mind getting a call. I really don't mind spending a little bit money on digital. What I do mind, and it's very important for me, is having a regular interaction with the customer, because I may be interacting with a life insurance company only once a year, and that too just to pay the premium. So costs are there, but that can be managed. However, what is important is how do I reach out to these customers, and there I may be spending a little lower per user cost to the marketing efforts like CDP. That's the difference which is there.
Your opinion? I'm pretty sure
He will
within
say his
your
average revenue is basis the total home loans which he gave.
then I'm pretty sure even within the home loan segment, you would see these like shifts happening from traditional methods. Like there were agents actually doing it, and now it's being done digitally. How do you perceive like any cost aspect that has come into play here?
Yes, absolutely. I would say I would for now keep the cost aside and focus again on customer experience, because for us that definitely comes later. It's a complicated journey among all of the products. A complicated product, the set of document, the kind of information that we seek. It's a huge amount which is being given out, and that's get paid out over multiple interactions. You need to have a comfort on the profile. You need to have a comfort on the kind of property which is being bought, etc. So here, everything plays out from a customer experience point of view rather than, the cost angle at this stage.
Let me go into a bit of like some few buzzwords that we hear these days. I'm pretty sure across multiple domains. Machine learning, artificial intelligence. In your view, is it truly a blessing, for is there a curse aspect related as far as customer data is concerned?
I think least said the better. It's still evolving. I would say, just to leave a thought, we say that, in the sea of blessing, maybe there are a few drops which sound like curse. We control those curses through regulation, through self-control, but there's a huge opportunity out there. And, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the fraternity. We are all excited. We are exploring various ways because we see the kind of benefits that this can bring across the value chain, right from your front line to your customers. So there is an opportunity out there. Yes, there is a word of caution everywhere, which we want to observe, but undoubtedly an opportunity which cannot be missed.
Considering your industry itself, which is very highly regulated, just coming to the same point, how do you perceive this?
But even though it's regulated, I completely second what Sandeep is saying. It's an opportunity. So see, any technology, you just take any technology you want to take. Today's mobile phones are there. It's a technology. Is it a curse? It's a blessing. Some will say it's a blessing. You got connected everywhere. Someone will say it's a curse. अरे घर पे भी phone आ जाता है boss का. So it's a difficult thing to say. Similarly, AI ML is definitely a blessing. We can say I was one of the first players, one of the first people who created an AI app for customer service, and that was around 6-7 years back when AI was just started. At that moment also, we were contemplating whether we should use it or not. And I can say with my experience of creating the app, if you can control it, if there is a control learning for the bot, excuse me, control learning for the bot, it can be actually very, very conversational for the customer. Just imagine any one of us like to converse with a bot. No, if we know the other person or other side as a bot, we will not be intending to. Just see the usage of IVRS, typical IVRS. People tend to move to a agent online because they feel that their query, the bot will not be able to understand. AI ML actually helps in having a conversational bot. Today, we have created technologies, and actually we are working on around 3-4 different projects where even a voice call is a very conversational with the customer. So AI ML is actually beneficial, and I would urge everyone to actually explore it, if not use it.
Let's get a bit tactical into it. So we are talking a lot about customer data, utilizing it for marketing outcomes. What are the constraints, or you could say challenges, problems involved in harnessing customer data? Like it could be intrinsic to the organization or the sector you're working, external. Any views on that?
मैं constraint नहीं बोलूँगा. I won't call them constraints, but this is more from like you said, privacy, infosec point of view. So you need to build guardrails so that the usage of data is as per the consent that you have received from the customer, and it is secure. So to comply with InfoSec, etc., it takes time. So hence your go live cycles, your production cycles may become longer, but those are important steps. Those are some things which you cannot miss out on. So that's first. So your cycles are longer because you have InfoSec and privacy related things that you need to comply with, which includes customer consent. The other part is of the we are in the mortgage industry and we collect a lot of data. I would say compared to a lot of industries, we collect a lot of information, and some of this information, like we call it, is in a form of personal discussion with the customer, which gets noted in a Word file, etc. Practically you take the whole history of the customer. What about their family when you go, do this personal discussion? How do you capture this to make this usable at a later date? So this is one cell. So we call it, again, data enrichment. How to use this data, which is being captured in a very unstructured way to make use of it.
Another factor which I would like to mention in this fact, like you mentioned about capturing the enriching the data. We in fact face this problem. We captured a lot of data during interactions, and when customers buy multiple policies, how do you have a system where all the data is put in a single place? That is very important because I'll tell you, 19 years ago, I joined life insurance. My first project was in terms of identifying unique customers. You'll think, इसमें क्या था? ये तो simple है, phone number से कर लो. I'm talking about 19 years back. That project was called Data Gym, and that was ICICI Prudential. And believe me, it's 19 years now, and the biggest problem we face is identifying unique customers. So, how that is there? The reason is the data may not be structured. Even if structured, it is having an organization silos. It's having system silos. How to bring it together? How to have a way where all the data can talk to each other. And I was just going through those screensavers or the videos before the event started. It actually spoke about that, the systems which are not designed to talk to each other. Now how do they talk? Because we are all legacy organization, 20 years plus organizations, systems created that time. Bajaj Allianz Life has actually started for a project to change the core system. It's 4 years and the project is going on, and it will continue for 4 more years. So you can imagine how big these changes are there. Hence, this is one of the challenges or constraint where how you can make the data talk to each other, and especially when the enrichment part also comes in the picture.
Yeah, siloed and data quality issues, I think that's common across all domains. But one thing, because I also come from a BFSI background into the regulatory aspect, so regulatory concerns definitely play a very big role within the BFSI sector if we were to compare it with things like telecom or manufacturing or life sciences. So that definitely is a very big factor that needs to be taken into consideration when
Another thing I want to mention is, the speed at which you go back to cross-sell the customer. Again, 5 years back when I joined Home Finance, the L2D cycle, which you call it, login to disbursement cycle, would be 40 days long, which means that competition had a good window because you can, scrub the scribble and that there is a request of home loan that has gone from the customer side, and then you can cross-sell. Now imagine this L2D cycle, which lasted about 40 days, gave us an opportunity. Now that L2D cycle has got crunched to 10 days. That means your speed to go back to the customer has to be much faster for you to be able to make sense of that opportunity. Same thing applies to gold loans, because gold loan is almost like a OTC product. You decide today and you take the gold loan. So how fast you can go back, because that data is available, but how fast you can make use of that data to be able to make that pitch to the customer is again equally critical, and that's where CDP comes in from a role point.
Yeah, one thing I believe is for certain. See, all of these niche and OEM providers providing solutions like CDP or CRM, they are going to be very important for organizations even right now and going forward. In your overall organizational ecosystem, where do these players fit in? What's the plan for them for the forthcoming year? How are they integrated into your network right now? If you could just share some views on them.
With regards to CDP, we have been working with Lemnisk. That's the CDP platform which we have for the last 2 years. We started with a pilot and now it's completely integrated. and with tools like CDP and other online tools, last year we could enable a business of around 80 crores for our sales team. Now that's a pretty high business because it's not just online. So what we do with CDP or similar technologies is we also club it with the offline mode. And with the connection of both enables sales teams to reach out to the customers more contextual, if I have to say. Earlier it used to be like a carpet bombing. You just give the lead, do some analytics at the back end, give the leads to the sales team, and then they reach out to the customer that aapko chahiye kya policy, which were very not the best way to reach out. Today with the same amount or even the less amount number of people with higher productivity, the CDP helps in connecting the customer. That's how we have been able to do that.
What about the mortgage in the industry?
Yeah, I think while today I'm in the mortgage industry, but my association with Subra and team dates back to Subra more than 10 years, I guess. It was called Vizuri at that point in time. Did some great stuff when it comes to personalization. In fact, since you're mentioning personalization, I would want to bring in Sabya. That's where we did first hyper personalization with you on Facebook. And I think that time you were called IBS. Now it is Fulcro. I see the name as Fulcro. But that was amazing. You had some hack wherein we could send out very personalized, and they used to call it hyper personalization. And I think he had mentioned TM also at that point in time against hyper personalization, where we could go back to the customers on Facebook with exact premiums that they had to pay and the date that they were due. That was the first of its kind. I think Sabya, that was almost like 12, 13 for you may not remember, working. So yeah, so that was yeah. Oh, fabulous. Yeah. That's
and Claudius also is
yeah.
present here.
Yeah, and so again, a lot of personalization at that time happened with CDP, wherein we used a lot of our own first-party data to bring back, make pre-approved offers for the customer and make sure that they do it in one click as a journey. This is almost 10 years back. And today, in mortgage, while demand is pretty well known, fulfillment is pretty well known. This time we had experimented on CDP with the collections bit, because money gets loaned, it has to come back to us. That's where we have used CDP to go back to our customers in a very personalized way, so that they connect with their cycles.
Any specific best practices or guidance mechanisms, frameworks, specific to your organization, which help in achieving this overarching goal of effective marketing outcome? What are your thoughts, or what, in your experience, do you feel can contribute to that?
So in our experience, two very, very important points which are there. One is mapping the customer journey or your campaign journey. It's very, very important. There was this discussion about multiple communication going to the customer for different different use cases. So if I can call that, for like Airtel, there was discussion. It was going for maybe a broadband separately, for a recharge separately. How you can have a complete journey mapping so that you can avoid those. That is one important factor. Second is, how do you connect data together, which I spoke about. These are the two important steps before you start on the CDP journey. Because otherwise your journey will be elongated. You may feel the cost for CDP is very high, which is actually not very, very low. And the outcomes will be very substandard in that case. We could, like I mentioned, we could do very high premium enablement through this over the last few years, because we first tackled these cases and then we went ahead with that. So that's some of the learnings.
No best practices for us. I think we say, just follow first principles when it comes to, using CDP, because these best practices keeps changing. The context of the customer keeps changing. Don't get fixated with any thoughts. Keep yourself agile and flexible. So no best practices, but follow first principles.
And I believe the more collaborative it becomes within the domain, across multiple domains, pretty sure some dissemination of information or ideas could further take place in order to help achieve this marketing outcome in the best possible manner. Do we have any questions for our panel? That brings me to the end.
Thank
I would
you.
like to thank our panel as well as our audience. Have a good rest of the
Thank you, Ashirvad. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just request the three of you to stay back while Subra presents the token of appreciation. Thank you.